Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to PPS Theory Sessions. Previous session, we started array and strings unit number 4, and we started understanding what is array. To quickly revise it, we can say array is nothing but a collection of elements having same data type, right? So we will be having more than one element in the array. All those elements will have same data type, which means you can store values in array which is of same data type. And one more point, array, when you declare an array, it is always going to have a continuous memory allocation. So continuous or the sequential elements having same data type can be the array. It doesn't matter whether it is one-dimensional, two-dimensional, multi-dimensional. The memory allocation will always be sequential, remember. Okay. Now that one dimension, two dimension, multi-dimension, those dimensions are for us, for developer to maintain a data, but actually physically in a memory, it is sequential. That's it. And that's why it doesn't matter whether it is horizontal or vertical. It is just for us in terms of memory. It is just a sequential allocation. So let's go through the points that we have seen in previous lecture. And then today what I plan is we want to have a look at few programs. Actually, we want to implement these points and we want to have a look at programs, how we can use arrays, right? So in previous session, we looked at one-dimensional array, and we will be looking at few programs on one-dimensional array today. So what is 1D array? An array or the number of elements which is of same data type, and to declare that thing we make use of only one index or one subscript. So it defines a single dimension. A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4, and so on. If A is your array variable name, then square bracket 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on will be the indexes. And using those indexes, you can access a particular element from your array. So we had seen how we can declare an array. So first, a data type. Okay, what kind of data you want to store? So data type, then your array name, just a variable name, just an identifier. And then when you declare your array, you have to give size, maximum number of elements that you want to store inside your array. So into the square bracket size. Now this size is optional if you assign values at the time of declaration. Otherwise, size is compulsory. So we had seen one example, let's say float marks of 5. So 5 is the size right now, and marks of 0, marks of 1, marks of 2, marks of 3, marks of 4, up to 4, 0 to 4, 5 elements we can make use of to store a value and make any calculations if you want. That was the declaration. And if you want to initialize something, then might be at two places you can initialize, you can assign values at compile time or at runtime. So if you go for the compile time initialization, then when you declare your array, at the same time you want to assign few elements. So just make equals to curly bracket, and inside that curly bracket you need to go for the list of your values separated by comma. So the number of elements in the array will be equals to the number of values you can assign here. If you go for more number of values, then there will be error. If you go for less number of values, then remaining elements will be having 0 value, and so on, right? So that was the initialization at compile time. If you do initialize your array at compile time, then size is optional. You can omit the size in square bracket. Fine. And The runtime initialization is nothing but when you run your code, when you execute your code, and inside your execution part, you assign some values to the array element. So that is just an assignment. So this is what we have seen till now, right? Now let us go and implement few programs which makes use of 1D array, one-dimensional array. And we want to have a look at all these points that we have seen in theory. And along that, once we understand declaration, initialization and all, then we will see one or two more programs which will making use of arrays inside. Okay, so I'll directly jump to the program here, and I'll be using VS Code today because I don't want to waste our time in online compilers. What I believe is probably one problem was because of network, and the other might be the problem. Maybe multiple students are using the same website from the same location at Rajkot or something, right? So whatever the CDN they are using, content delivery network they are using, it might be overloaded, and that's why we do not have proper response. But it might be, I'm not saying that's the problem, but what we can do is now I can go for VS Code, and you may work on whatever compiler you feel it's and you are comfortable with. Okay, so well, this was the last program that we have seen. What I'll do is I'll create a new file today. Let's say it is array.c. Okay, so I have created a fresh new file. We will be working on this file now. So first of all, basic structure of a C program. You can always go for documentation, right? So this is nothing but my documentation here. Now this is the documentation format this editor provides me, but doesn't matter. Slash star is multi-line comment, that is, and you complete that multi-line comment using star slash. This is nothing but example of arrays. Yep. So now we can start our program. We can simply go for hash include stdio.h, and this editor helps me to write a code faster one. So I'm not typing everything, but because of C++ extension installed, it gives me these suggestions. Okay, when I start typing include, then this suggestion is coming from that extension that I have installed, right? And when I start using any of these things, it gives me suggestions to complete it quickly. Well, so stdio.h, then we'll go for int main, and inside that main we need to have few variables, and then printf, scanf, and whatever we want here. So that's what we are going to do here. Now we will be working with array. So let us start. Initially we will be working with simple array, no complex things, right? ARR is going to be the array name, array variable name. Then the syntax says that you need to go for square bracket, and inside that square bracket you need to define the size. So let's say I want to have 5 elements inside my array, and semicolon. So this is just a declaration of array element, array variable. An array variable having 5 elements of integer data type. This is how you should interpret this line. Array variable ARR is having total 5 elements, and all those 5 elements can have integer data value. Now, if you want to use all those 5 elements, you can use those 5 elements by having variable name, then square bracket, and at the time of execution, this square bracket will have index values. So you know that index starts from 0. So if I say ARR 0 equals to 1, then what I'm doing here is I'm assigning value 1, because this is assignment operator, assigning value 1 to the first element of my array. Now I can go for a few more assignment operations, and sorry, we can go for few more values here. So what I can do is I can go for other elements. 0 to 4, total 5 elements will have values 1 to 5. Okay. And if we have assigned those values, we can simply verify it by printing those values. So I can say A of 0 is, and let us print %d. So what I want to print here is A of 0 I want to print, and let me create a new line. So a simple printf statement. A of 0 is %d. So %d will have value from A of 0. Okay. Now we want to print that. What is the problem? ARR. Sorry, I need to go for ARR. That's what my variable name is. And let us print ARR here. ARR of 0 is ARR of 0 value. And we can print all the values if we want. ARR of 1, ARR of 2, ARR of 3, ARR of 4, and so on. So we can simply print those values like this way. If I save this and if I go and try to run this one now, so you can have a look at that output. What it says, ARR of 0 is 1, ARR of 1 is 2, and so on. So whatever value we have assigned, right, that's the same value it is printing. Now this was a very basic example to see that we can store some values in array and we can retrieve those values whenever we want. And we can refer all these values using same name ARR. Otherwise, what you should be going for is, you'll be going for something like this: A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5. This is how you should be declaring your variables. Now, this is okay. If you have 5 to 10 variables, then it's fine. If you want to store 5 to 10 values, then you can declare 5 to 10 variables. Now, what if you want to store 20 values? Then it is very difficult to declare 20 variables, correct? And even to remember those variable names, because variable name must be unique. Now, you have to remember those variable names also. And that's where it becomes a tedious task. And that's where actually array comes to our help. We can use array variable, which can have 20 elements inside, and we can have only one variable name, ARR, just like this one. Yeah, Vyom is asking, so what does it weird statement at the end of output mean? Well, at the end of output, there is nothing weird. Look, this is ARR 4.5 is the end of output, and before that, after that, I have my command prompt again. Before that, it is having something. Well, it makes use. Look, this GCC is the command which compiles my array.c program. Look, when I click on this run button, that code runner extension is actually going to fire two commands for me. Okay, it is actually going to fire two commands. One, it is going to compile it, and another one, it is going to execute the executable file. That's what it does for me. Okay, so it's very simple. Look, GCC is the compiler and GCC is the command by which I can compile my program. So GCC and then my file name array.c, and then -o is the optional parameters to this GCC command. It creates means it defines create the output file with array, file name should be array, otherwise it will be simply a dot out. So instead of a dot out, I go for array output file name, and that output file name you can also see here in your folder. Well, it is binary file, executable file, so VS Code cannot open that code, right? So we cannot open that file here, but we can run that file, array file. And once we run that array file, we'll have the output here. So that's what the interpretation of this one. Well, you need not to both out why this is going for entire path, because it is actually code runner going for absolute path here. Okay, so this is what the program, just to understand how array works, where we can store values and how we can retrieve values. So that's one. Now this is runtime initialization. Okay, this is runtime initialization. I had gone for assigning values at the runtime. Now I can also go for compile time initialization. So if I comment this part, and when I declare my array, at the same time I can assign few values here, and those values can be same values 1 2 3 4 5. So if I save this code and still I run my code, then I'll have the same output, no change in the output here. Correct? There is no change in my output. Again, GCC this much command is to compile my program, gcc array.c, compile it, generate output with array name. That's first command. Second command, it is going to execute that array file. So when it executes, I'll have the output here. Yeah, so what it does is it is assigning these values to all these elements, and then we simply print those values. Now if I go and assign few more values here, then explicitly I'm saying that my array will have only 5 elements. Okay, my array will have only 5 elements, but still I'm assigning few more values, and this is going to generate an error here. So if I save this code and I try to run this, then it says there is a warning, not exactly the error, but as I said, it depends on the compiler and runtime environment where you are executing this code. So it says warning, access elements in array initializer, and it gives me the pointer also at 6. So my array is of size 5. I can initialize 5 elements, but there are a few more elements which is not being assigned to any of the element. So with one warning, still it runs my code and it gives me the output. Okay. Fine. So that's one point. Now let us have a look at what if I give less number of values here. I have 5 elements and I only give 3 values. So if I save and run this code, then first 3 values will be there and the remaining will be 0. Okay, remaining will be 0. So that is also possible. You can assign less values and the remaining elements will by default have value 0. So this is the example we have seen at the time of initialization. What if we go for more or less number of elements? Now let me show you what happens if you want to, if you go and try accessing elements beyond your range. So 0 to 4 is valid range. What if I go for range 5, 6, and 7? My element, my array is of size 5, but what happens if I go and try to access few more elements from my array, which is not actually the part of my program? So as I said, 0 to 4, okay, this much part is your valid memory access. 1 2 3 is what you have assigned. 0 0 because of default initialization 0. Then array of 5 6 and 7, that is not actually your memory. You are accessing a memory location which is not actually the part of your program. Now C is not a strict language in terms of memory access, so it gives you access to those memory locations, but वहां पे हमने कोई वैल्यू स्टोर नहीं की थी, तो ये जो वैल्यू आपको मिल रही है दैट इज जस्ट अ गार्बेज वैल्यू, वी डोंट नो व्हाट इट इज। आपकी मेमोरी में जो कोई भी वैल्यू पड़ी है उसको इंटीजर इंटरप्रेट करके सी प्रोग्राम उठा के लेके आएगा, फाइन, and that's what the value you have here. So you will have some garbage values at this place. Okay. Yeah. Vyom is asking, sir, can we assign comma as a value? Look, when you go for comma, it's a character. If you have character array, you can assign comma as a value. Comma is not a valid integer value, so you cannot assign comma here. I don't know what was your actual query, Vyom, but this is what I interpret. Okay, so accessing a memory location which is not a part of your program will give you some garbage values. Okay, so that is something that we have seen: declaration, initialization, and accessing elements. Now, if you are going for multiple, yeah, one more thing. If I go for omitting a size, then I need to give proper number of values here, because whenever I'm assigning values at the declaration time, I can omit size. And if I omit this size value, this one, then it is going to take size equals to the number of values here. So जितनी वैल्यू आप असाइन करोगे उतनी साइज आपके एरे की डिफाइन हो जाएगी. So this is also possible. We can save this code and execute it so that we can have the same output. Now, if you are not assigning values at the time of declaration, okay, let's go for ARR of 5. If I do not assign values at the time of declaration, then I can assign values at runtime. But if your array is of larger size, remember, then you never go for one by one statements like this one, okay, because this is not a proper way to go for. This is going to increase your number of statements, but here we can make use of for loop, which will help us to short our code. If I'm using loop, then I need to go for loop control variable. So let us declare integer I. I is just a loop control variable, so we can make use of that variable here. We say I equals to 0, I less than 5, and I plus plus. And inside this one, if I want to assign these values, then I can have only one statement: ARR of 0 equals to 0. That is my first statement. But instead of 0, next time I want it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And I can have all those values from I, because I is starting from 0 and it is increasing one by one. So it can be ARR of I equals to I. Now this is how all these statements are reduced to this loop. So it is going to assign 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now earlier we have assigned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to assign 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it be, just to have a look at the difference in output. So this is how we can assign values, and even we can make use of the same loop, and we can have this printf statement inside. Now every time we don't want to print 0th element, we want to print ith element. So when I make change here, ARR of I, this percentage D will be replaced with the value of ARR of I. Now here also I want to print proper message, so at this place I will also make percentage D, and that is my first percentage D, so corresponding variable I should have at this place also. So first percentage D will have value of I, second percentage D will have value of ARR of I, and it is going to print this messages. So if we save and run this code, still we have same kind of output here. ARR of 0 is 0, ARR of 1 is 1, ARR of 2 is 2, and so on. So just to make you aware that whenever you are working with array, okay, whenever you are working with array, go for loop. Yes, some students are asking, can we use other loop? Yes, you can. Instead of for, you can use while loop. You can use do while loop if you want to execute that code at least once, right? Because it is exit control loop. So depends. आप while loop भी use कर सकते हो अगर आप while loop से comfortable हो, for loop से comfortable हो, for loop भी use कर सकते हो, doesn't matter. Well, so this gives you an idea कि अगर आप एरे के साथ काम कर रहे हो तो for loop या तो फिर while loop, any looping statement will help you a lot. Instead of going for lengthy code, you can have a short code. And we are done with theory part actually. We have seen how we can declare array. We have seen how we can initialize array. We have seen how we can assign values and retrieve values to print or to take some output or make some calculation and all. So let us have a look at now few programs. Yeah, now someone is asking what if ARR of 0 यूजर के लिए अगर आप ये मैसेज 0 1 2 3 4 की जगह पे 1 2 3 4 5 प्रिंट करना चाहते हो, देन हाउ डू यू प्रिंट? यू प्रिंट इट विथ परसेंटेज डी. तो ये परसेंटेज डी की वैल्यू जहाँ से आती है वहाँ +1 कर दो. सो टेम्पररीली आई के साथ मैं यहाँ पे +1 कर दूंगा. Now this is temporary calculation and the answer will be printed at this percentage D place. Okay. So now if I run this code, तो मुझे आउटपुट में क्या मिलेगा? Instead of ARR of 0, I'm going to have ARR of 1. But that is just for your end user. Make sure प्रोग्राम में इंडेक्स हर बार 0 से स्टार्ट होगी. तो आपकी लूप जो है वो आप 0 से ही स्टार्ट करो. अगर आप लूप को 1 से स्टार्ट करोगे तो 1 से लेके =5 तक आपकी लूप चलेगी 5 एलिमेंट के लिए. तो जब इंडेक्स वैल्यू 5 हो जाएगी तो दैट इंडेक्स वैल्यू 5 इज आउट ऑफ रेंज, क्योंकि एरे इंडेक्स हर बार 0 से 4 तक की होती है. अगर आप 5th इंडेक्स वैल्यू एक्सेस करते हो देन इट इज बियॉन्ड योर रेंज, which means you are going for a memory location which is not part of your program. अब जैसे कि हमने देखा C is not a strict memory access language, so वो आपको array of 5 का एक्सेस तो दे देगा लेकिन वो आपकी मेमोरी नहीं है. अगर कोई और प्रोग्राम उसको अपडेट कर रहा है then you will have garbage values. So that's why we need to be careful when we are using arrays. Index will always start from 0. यूजर के लिए आप कोई भी मैसेज दे सकते हो, डजंट मैटर, लेकिन अपने लिए आप हर बार याद रखो इंडेक्स 0 से स्टार्ट होगी, मुझे मेमोरी एलिमेंट्स जो है वो 0 से ही एक्सेस करने होंगे. या yes, you can take printf statement in first loop itself. I just wanted to show you कि आप अलग अलग जगह पे उसे एक्सेस कर सकते हो. अगर असाइन करने के बाद डायरेक्टली प्रिंट करना है then you can use this printf statement at this place also to make your program shorter. But that was not my aim right now. I wanted to show you that you can initialize it somewhere and you can use it at the other place. Yeah, so that's the basic array program, right? And now we want to have a look at few programs which makes use of array actually. Okay, so let me save this code as it is and let us go for a new file, array2.c file. Okay, so this is my new file and again we'll be going for something like this only, array examples. Int main, and inside my program, I'm going to have a look at few other processes. Yeah, so let's say we want to store the min-max program that we have already seen. But at that time, earlier one, user is giving you values, and at the same time, you are finding what is the minimum, what is the maximum, and you are printing that value at the same time, and you are done. You do not store all the values in your memory for later use. इससे पहले हमने जो min max प्रोग्राम देखा था उसमें हमने यूजर के पास से 10 वैल्यू गेट की. व्हेन आई टेक सेकंड वैल्यू, फर्स्ट वैल्यू को मैंने खो दिया क्योंकि मैंने उसको ओवरराइट किया. व्हेन आई टेक थर्ड वैल्यू, सेकंड वैल्यू को मैंने खो दिया because I was not storing those values anywhere. Now what if you want to store all those 10 values? अगर वो हर एक वैल्यू को आप स्टोर करना चाहते हो कहीं पे, तो या तो आपके पास 10 वेरिएबल होने चाहिए या तो फिर 10 एलिमेंट का एक एरे होना चाहिए. एंड दैट्स वेयर वी आर गोइंग टू मेक यूज ऑफ एरे हियर. So I can say that a of 10 is the array declaration for me. Along with that, I'm going to have I, a loop control variable. Instead of going for two statements, I can go for a single declaration statement like this. Okay, so that's variable declaration, and then I can simply print a message for user. Enter 10 numbers. Okay, that's just a message, and then I'll go for for loop. I equals to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and inside that one again I'll say that printf a of %d, and then I'll wait for user to enter, and at this place we will print I plus 1. So user के लिए message हो जाएगा a of 1, and then we will scan those values. %d because we are having integer values, and at this place we are going to say ampersand array variable is a, and when you are working with array you need to give index also. So array of I, a of I is where I'm going to store that value. So at some places you can take values using this for loop, and at other place inside your entire software, if you want to calculate min, max, average and all, then it's very simple that you may have, let's say, any of the statements inside your program, whatever you want, and later place if you want to calculate some averages, minimums, maximums, total sum and all, then you can do it using again for loop. Well, to store those values, let's say min, max and sum, we can have integer only. So we can have sum, we can have min, sorry, we can have min and we can have max. Now this can be integer. Sum we are going to use with the shorthand assignment operator plus equals to, so I'll be assigning it to 0. Min, max, I'm not assigning any value, so we'll be handling those things here. So let's go for I equals to 0 again, I less than 10 and I plus plus, right? And inside this loop, what we can do is we can check if I is 0, look, double equals to sign here, conditional operator. I double equals to 0. If I is 0, which means this is the first element, a of I is the first element, and I'm going to assign that to min. I'm going to assume that first value is the minimum value, and at the same time first value is the maximum value also. right? And what we need to do is we also want sum here, so we'll make sum plus equals to a of I. Well, every time whatever number is, I want to sum it up, so I can have it here. And at this place, I'll say that if I is 0, then the first value will become my minimum value, and the first value itself will become my maximum value. Else if, you can go for else if later, or you can go for nested if. Let's say in the else part, again, we need to have two conditions. If current min is greater than a of I, then you found new minimum. So update your min equals to a of I. Okay. And the same way, another if condition to find out max. If current max is less than a of I, then we found a new max. So we will be updating our max equals to a of I. Right? So this is to just find out if you have new minimum or new maximum. And this for loop is going to give you all those calculations. So later place in your program anywhere, whenever you want to make use of these mean, max, and sum, okay, sorry, you can, right now we are printing, but you can make use of those things. So let's say total is %d, and that's going to be sum. And similarly, I'll have minimum value, and we can have max value. Okay, so this is our program. Now, just to make you aware that when you take values from user, you can store those values in array, so that later on in your software or in your program, you can make use of those values using array elements a of I or any number. Okay. And once you calculate it, whatever final answer you have, you can use those answers anywhere in the program. So for example, you are working with interest calculation, a banking software or something, then it's look, you need to maintain all the transactions, the number of transactions you need to maintain. अगर आप एक simple ट्रांजेक्शन्स के लिए एक छोटा सा प्रोग्राम बना रहे हो, तो आप ये देख सकते हो कि अगर यूज़र ने ऐड किया तो एरे में, ट्रांजेक्शन एरे में स्टोर कर दो कितने पैसे ऐड हुए। अगर यूज़र ने विड्रॉ किया तो सेम एरे के अंदर सेव कर लो, लेकिन नेगेटिव वैल्यू कि कितने पैसे उसने विड्रॉ किया। सो यू विल हैव वन ट्रांजेक्शन एरे, and inside that array you are going to store the deposit. Negative value is, let's say, withdrawal part. And at the end of the month, if you want to calculate the total sum, then somewhere whenever that transaction happens, okay, you are going to have a look at this one. Even whenever any transaction happens, you are going to find out mean and max. So at the end of the month, you can prepare a summary that the minimum amount within this month was something. In this entire month, minimum amount was, let's say, 1,000 rupees. Maximum amount was 15,000 rupees. Current amount is something. And if you want to calculate interest for your let's say account, then you can go for interest calculation, and you can calculate interest based on current amount, or maybe with that, if minimum amount goes less than the rules and regulations, then you can set some fine value, so deduct that penalty also, and that can be done at the end of the month. But during the month you are going to have number of calculations, so that you can do, right? So this is just an example where you will need to store values, and whenever you want to store some values, you may go for array, and you can store values inside that. Now at some point of time, maybe you will also require average, for example. Okay, let's say you might need average, you might need geometric mean, you might need harmonic mean. These are the mathematical terms. Depending on the requirement, you might need to have those average values, mean values. Okay, a simple average is again a mean value, will be the total of your elements divided by the number of your elements. That's the normal average. Then there is a geometric mean also. It is being used in the stock market calculations. That's just one example, I know, but if you want to have a look at more examples, you can search on internet, or you can ask your mathematical faculty, where do we use geometric mean, where do we use harmonic mean, and so. And these mean, geometric mean, harmonic mean, there is one program in your practical list also. You need to perform that program also. Now, if I just want to tell you what will be the geometric mean and harmonic mean, okay, then let's go to the place. Look, geometric mean is actually the calculation of your, let's say if all the numbers are something like x1, x2, x3, x4, these are your values up to xn. Okay, if these are your values, then geometric mean is something like summation of n from 1, or let's say I from 1 to n xi. Well, not summation. Geometric mean will be the multiplication, sorry. So x1 multiply by x2 multiply by x3 multiply by xn, and then go for 1 by n power. Now this is what the geometric mean equation is. Okay, now you can calculate this thing using program. Whatever numbers you have, go for the multiplication, and at the end go for the power 1 by n. Okay, so that's geometric mean. Harmonic mean is something like n divide by, well, it is something like x1 power minus 1 plus x2 power minus 1 plus x3 power minus 1, and so on. Now this is summation, remember, xn, and then also power minus 1. Now this minus 1 power is nothing but sorry, not only this one, divide by n and then power minus 1. So it is equals to n divide by, look, minus 1 power is inverse, nothing else. So n divide by 1 by x1 plus 1 by x2 plus 1 by x3, and so on, 1 by xn. So this is your harmonic mean. Well, so you can store these values x1 to xn in array, and then you can run a loop to make these calculations, right? You can easily calculate harmonic mean and geometric mean. So with the same program, for example, if we want to calculate this geometric and harmonic means, then let's have few more variables and calculate these things, right? Let's go for harmonic mean first. It is very much easy. 1 divided by something, and you need to add those things, and then n divided by that answer will give you the harmonic mean. So first of all, 1 divided by x1 plus 1 divided by x2 plus 1 divided by x3 and so on, that summation for harmonic mean I need to have in a variable, and that is 1 divided by something, so need to go for a float variable. Remember, when you have division operation, it's always going to be the floating point number. So let us have that here. That's gonna be, let's say, harmonic sum, h sum. I'm just having a variable 0.0 because it's a float and 0 is the initialization here. So I'm going for that calculation, sum calculation, and that will be done inside this for loop. So I'll go for h sum plus equals to the calculation is 1 divided by a of I, correct? Now a of I is integer, 1 is also integer, division will be integer. I don't want to make that error. So 1.0. Now 1.0 is float, divide by integer. So this calculation will be in terms of float, and I'll have that float summation here. So we have h sum. And how many numbers we have? 10 numbers. So finally 10 divided by h sum will be my harmonic mean. Okay. So at this place, we can simply print that thing. For example, let's say harmonic mean, that should be percentage %f. Let's go for 0.2f only. And here, temporary calculation I'll do. I am not going to have any variable. Well, if you want to have it, you can have it like let's say harmonic mean hm, and you can calculate that harmonic mean here like hm equals to total numbers 10 divided by h sum. Okay, and you can print harmonic mean here. Simple. So that's going to be your harmonic mean. Geometric mean, for that again we need to have a multiplication of all the numbers, right? So for that, let us have g multiplication, and I'm going to assign it with 1.0 because I'm going for continuous multiplication. So that can be something like geometric multiplication into equals to multiply every numbers here, a of I. So you'll have x1 multiplied by x2 multiplied by x3 multiplied by xn up to xn, all the multiplications you have. And then you need to go for power 1 by n, so 1 by 10. Now power, for that let's have a look at now math.h POW method. Okay, so we'll go for including a new file math.h. Okay, so that I can make use of POW method, and let me have geometric mean gm variable so that we can calculate gm here. Now what is the equation? Have all the multiplication and then make power 1 by n. So we are going to use POW method, power, and the first parameter will be your base, so it is going to be gmul, and the second parameter is going to be the power. Now power is what? 1 divided by 10, so it's 0.1. I can also go for 0.1 here, and then I can print geometric mean also. So this POW is a method function defined in math.h, remember. So now let us print geometric mean here. Okay, so that's how you can calculate harmonic mean, geometric mean. So if we run this code, it is going to ask me first to first enter 10 numbers. Okay, then it will calculate sum and multiplication for harmonic or geometric, min, max, everything will be calculated, so that later point of time I can make use of those things in my program. So if we try to run this code now, just wait. Yeah, then it will ask us to enter 10 numbers and then asking the first one, array of 1. Now let me go for small numbers right now. 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. I can repeat those numbers, doesn't matter, right? And the last number is let's say 5. Then let's have a look at that thing. This is what the input I've given. Minimum was 1, maximum was 5. So minimum 1, maximum 5. Total will be 29. Harmonic mean is 2.38 and geometric mean is 2.65. Okay. So that's the calculations. And your practical list does have this program also. Remember, it has one program where it says write a program to take numbers from user and calculate average, harmonic mean, geometric mean, and all. So that's all. Few programs to work with array, right? And make use of arrays. So any queries? Query or question at your place? I'll suggest that today only you make some you go for some practice related to arrays. You can start with just asking user to enter number, and in separate loop you print those numbers. Okay, take values and print those values, but make use of array to store those values, so that you will be familiar how to use array. That is just a practice, that is not a real world example. But once you practice it, then you can incorporate array anywhere, wherever you require. Okay then, so let us stop the session here. We conclude our session here. So we have seen theory part of one-dimensional array, and today we have seen few practicals of one-dimensional array. In the next lecture, we are going to have a look at two-dimensional array now. So thank you for being part of this session here, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Full code will have very less, very small fonts, um, harsh, but this is what the full code in single screen. Yeah, okay. I'm going to stop this one now.